I'm SR Mowry here for Mistwood Publishing. Today, I'm going to give you an inside look at one of my main characters, Narbad Strongheart, in the Silvan Mist. Before I gave a small video on Elion's Holothor, and I told you that there were two core characters in my books. Alright, and one of them is Elion the half-elf, and the other is Narbad the orc. And in the other video I talked about Elion the half-elf, and in this video I'm going to talk about Narbad. So, the Silvan Mist is Saga 5, and it's split up to where you have two predominant story arcs. You have Elion's adventure with the Silvan Mist, which is like a band of Robin Hood's Merry Men, if you will. And then you have Narbad's storyline. And Narbad's is more of a subplot, but it's still very crucial. It's like more than a subplot, but less than like a full plot. Somewhere in the middle there. And he's this very important character throughout the whole saga. I'm going to start typing it up soon. I spent the summer editing Saga 4, but and this isn't going to be the title. I changed it already. But the book I hand wrote this last year, my third book that I've written, is Saga 1. Okay, this is Saga 5. Okay? And Saga 1 starts with Narbad. It doesn't start with Elion. Elion's not born yet. It's about an orc who's born in a time in Foster's history called the Great Winter, where kind of like an ice age, if you will. And he's born a slave. He's an orc because in my world, orcs are... they're very noble. In fact, they're some of the most noble characters in the entire series. Not all of them, just most of them. So I don't want to give too much away, but essentially after what is our equivalent of the fall of man, alright, so after what I call the events of Ragnarok, where the goodly races have fallen from the grace of Gesu, God made the orcs specifically for the sole task to defend the other races from the evil of Vandir. Okay, basically Satan and his sons. So the orcs live on this island of Hanor, predominantly. Now Narbad, it's after all that stuff happens, so Narbad's born over here as a slave. But a long time ago in the beginning, orcs were given this island here called Hanor, and they lived co-ed, if you will, with humans. Kind of split it. And they are God's mightiest warriors. They're the best fighters in all the realms. I mean, they're made solely to win battles. I mean, they're like God's personal knights, alright? So anyway, they're in Hanor, and they do defend very well for a long time, but since orcs have green skin and their teeth jut out because they're not exactly very attractive. They look a lot like humans. They don't look like Lord of the Rings orcs. They have, olive or green skin, and they do look very human-like, but they have some very exaggerated features like the ears or the teeth or the dominant lower jaw. That makes the other races kind of see them as unattractive. And also you have that the orcs weren't a part of the original fall from grace. So they are already kind of ostracized. And so Narbad, much later in Foster's history, where the orcs have been essentially kicked out of Hanor and are enslaved and treated horribly, Narbad is kind of born a slave, and he kind of has his own adventures, his own quests and his own purpose. And that's what Sagas 1, 2, and 3 are about, and they're very, very crucial. And the Silvan Mist talks, it kind of reminisces. There's several points where Narbad is either thinking to himself about the past, or him and Zipes are talking about somebody from the past, and you kind of get a glimpse at maybe what some of what Narbad has done in the past. But sagas 1, 2, and 3 are about that. And they're very important books. You know you want to buy mystery products. Even if I was to start over, like, if I was to start writing again today, like, you know, none of this had been written before, I still would have started with Saga 5. I still would have written Silvan first, because it does set up both storylines. So you have Narbad referencing what happened before this. Okay, it sets up the other books before this one, and it also sets up the future ones. You know, you'll have Narbad reminiscing about the past, or you'll have Zipes and him having a conversation about, Zipes the gnome, they'll be having a conversation about, you know, maybe somebody they knew in their past, because they kind of had a lot of adventures together. And Sagas 1, 2, and 3 follow Narbad, so he might not seem like too big of a deal when you're reading this, but as the entire series comes together, you'll begin to realize, well, Narbad was quite crucial. Okay, and all of, you know, Sagas 1, 2, 3, and 4, even though 4 follows a character called Zach Bonebreaker, which is one of Narbad's close friends, that it's all, you know, Narbad's life has been leading up to this guy, Elion. You know, Narbad is kind of like the John the Baptist. Not that Elion is a Jesus character, because he's totally not. Not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. Okay? But Narbad kind of paves the way. Alright? He kind of prepares the way for Elion to do what he needs to do. And again, Elion's not a Jesus character. Not even close. Okay? But that doesn't mean that God wouldn't still have someone prepare the way to make what Elion has to do possible. And Narbad is that character. So you have Sagas 1, 2, and 3, which are set up with this orc, Narbad. You know, he has a orcs have a very good, you know, character complex, because, again, orcs were made solely for military purpose. So a lot of orcs feel like they were made purely to die, you know, in war. Because war is ugly. And, you know, just because orcs were made to fight doesn't mean that they don't still experience the PTSD of war. So in Saga 4, Whispers of Dawn, the book that will come out in 2018, you get a really good example of that. But Narbad is kind of like my main orc character, and you'll also get to know him pretty well, and this book introduces you to him. But I wanted to make a video to kind of tell you how important he is. Now, in the other video, I talked about how each character is supposed to be kind of like a part of us, you know, part of the writer. It makes it easier to write a character. It makes it more personal and more believable and relatable for everybody. And I said that Elion was like the better half of me. And there's another character in the Silvan Mist which is the other half of me, the two sides of the same coin kind of thing. But I won't give you his name, I'll let you figure that out for yourself. So Elion represented and represents the kind of person I wish I could be all the time. And again, not that he's, you know, doesn't struggle with things and still is imperfect, but he's kind of a more noble version of myself. Narbad, on the other hand, he doesn't really have anything from me personally, but Narbad embodies everything in what I would hope to see in a father, or like a manly figure that you look up to, like a role model. So Narbad is based off of several people in my life, predominantly from my grandpa on my dad's side. And again, that doesn't mean that it's entirely my grandpa. You know, you say, oh, I base this character off of you, and they're like, but it means it's very loosely. Like, occasionally I'll think, well, what would what would my grandpa do in this situation? Then I base Narbad's actions off of that. You know, it doesn't mean that he's an exact replica of that person, not even a little bit. But, you know, Narbad kind of represents the fatherly figure, and, you know, that's kind of what he's supposed to represent. You know, that's his purpose. And I hope that you get that in this book, that he has that kind of relationship. And I think the book does a really good job of introducing you to Narbad, not giving too much information of his past, but getting you to care about him. And it really does set up the other books. So by the time we get back to Elion with Saga 6, you'll have all the Narbad books, and you'll be ready to see what happens next. Because, I mean, you'll know Narbad, you'll know Zack, you'll know everything that's going on. You'll know the history of Phosphia. You'll understand the significance of what Elion's doing so much more. So I'm actually kind of glad that I wrote in the order that I did, because I think it's very good. I mean, this book it sets up everything. You know, this book is a big deal, and you know it goes back. That's gonna be awesome. But anyway, I just want to remind you guys. About the sales going on. You have Sahib's Herb Pouch for $20, well, $19.99. You have the book for, you know, just by itself for $11.99. If you want it signed, it'll be $14.99, or you can get the ebook for $6.99. Then you got Narbad's War Chest, which is the mug, the signed book, and the T-shirt for $25.99. And then you have the Elion's Quiver for $55.99, which comes with the hoodie, the mug, the T-shirt, and the signed book all together. And you get to pick the size and everything. So just want to remind you that all this stuff comes out on September 2nd at our website, www.mistwoodpublishing.com. So make sure on September 2nd that you check out the book and read it for yourself. Take care of yourself. I'm S.R. Mowry from Mistwood Publishing. Take care of yourself.